Hey guys, we're talking about overcoming fear, and we're on part 2 this week. We're using the life of Joshua, and we're in chapter 13 of Numbers. And where I want you to look at is Numbers 13, verse 16. It says, "These are the names of the men Moses sent out to explore the land." So most of you probably know the story. They're traveling through the wilderness, and they're to the promised land, or right on the outskirts of it. And Moses is going to send in a representative from each of the 12 tribes, so 12 men, to explore, to scope out the promised land. In verse 16, it says, these are the names of them. So that's the 12 people he's going to send. And it's got a little side note, a little footnote. It says, Moses called, and I don't know how to say the name, but Hoshea, son of Nun, by the name Joshua. And if you look it up, Hoshea, which is Joshua's original name, means salvation. But Moses calls him by the name Joshua, which means God is salvation. And it's so powerful. It's so perfect for our day 2 here of overcoming fear, because what Moses is doing, what God's doing by changing his name from salvation to God is salvation, is saying, you are not your salvation. I am your salvation. God is your salvation. And we remember back to yesterday when they fought the Amalekites, that Joshua learned when Moses' arms were raised up, God was fighting for them, they would win. When Moses' arms fell, God would not fight anymore. Now, why would God do that? We talked about it yesterday. Why would God do that? 100% and purely just to show Joshua God is salvation, that God is your salvation, not Hoshea, which is salvation, which is you or your salvation. So we're talking about overcoming fear, and we've got this story here where they go into the promised land, they come back, and most of you know, 2 of them, Joshua and Caleb, said, we can definitely take these guys. And the other 10 say, you know what, it's an amazing land, but they're too big and they're too scary, we can't take them. You know, Joshua remembers, because it's interesting when they go and they scope out the promised land, one of the people groups they find there is the Amalekites, and they were scared of the Amalekites. And yet just 2 or 3 chapters earlier, 4 chapters or whatever it was earlier that we talked about yesterday, they had just defeated Amalekites, maybe the same people, maybe related, I don't know, but Amalekites, right? And so Joshua remembers that God is their salvation. And so when he's looking at the thing that you could potentially fear, he's not measuring it against his own ability and himself and his ability to overcome the fear. He's measuring it against God's ability to overcome it. Joshua has changed from Hoshea to Joshua, from I am my salvation to God is my salvation. Okay, so here's my kind of final story here. Let's say that you play the violin and you're a 14, 15-year-old kid, you play the violin. You play it in front of your parents, you're amazing. You play it in front of your friends, you're amazing. You play it in your church, you're amazing. And you put it on YouTube and everybody watches it and loves it, and they think you're amazing. Somebody invites you to play the violin, that same song that you played, at the National Symphony Hall, where there's going to be 1,500 people watching you. And you get there and you're so scared. What are you scared of? You've done it before so many times. The only thing that's changed is what you see out there. But God has given you the ability to do this, and whatever you see in front of you is not going to change your ability to do it. That's what Joshua knew. Joshua had learned that God is his salvation. And no matter, even if the scenery changes or the people changes or the challenge changes or the dream gets bigger, it doesn't matter. The same God who saved you before, helped you before, got you to your dreams in the past, will help you in the future and get you to your dreams in the future. So let's remember that today. Look forward to talking to you tomorrow on overcoming your fears.